me, Louie Tee. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 7 in the National Football League. Philadelphia Eagles at home hosting the previously undefeated Minnesota Vikings, coming off of a bye week. And you know how that goes, man. Tell you straight up, those bye weeks early in the season can do a team in. And this Vikings team didn't look prepared to come in and win a football game against a game Philadelphia Eagles football team. This was some sloppy football in the first half, man. I tell you what, both of these teams looked like they wanted no part of a W in this game. Both of these teams were struggling to get it going. I've never seen 5 turnovers in the first half, in the first quarter of a game before. Never have I seen that before, but I saw it in this game. We're going to break this game down here in a second. But, of course, as always, let me welcome all of you to the Louie Tee Network. For those of you who have never been here before, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. Doing some big things on the network, so want you to be a part of it. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter if you want notifications as to when videos are being posted, or am I going live, whatever the case may be, or you just want to have fun, chill, and shoot me a tweet. You can do so. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and give me a follow. And I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. I'm going to start doing some things up there, some exclusive content. Going to start being posted to my Facebook page. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms right up here in the box above, scrolling through. So make sure you check them out. If you're watching this on Twitter or you're watching live on YouTube and you want to have your voice heard, simply use the hashtag LouieTeeLive to have your comment read at the end of this breakdown. That being said, let's jump into this likes, dislikes, a banana in the tailpipe. And what a game this was in terms of just the sheer sloppiness and how much was going on. I mean, if you got up and went for a sandwich, you missed about 2 turnovers in the first 5 minutes of this game. I mean, it was crazy. You didn't know what the hell was going on. It was just so much, so quickly, a lot of information to process. And you almost had to ask yourself, how could 2 teams be so negligent? You know, you look at the Vikings, you're like, okay, wait a minute. You're 5-0, and you're doing this? And then you look at the Eagles and you say, if you can play this well this week, how are you 3-2 coming into this game? So this Eagles team, even though they had the turnovers and they made mistakes in this ball game, they still look more closer to the 3-0 start team than they did the 0-2 team the last 2 weeks. So big bounce back for them. But let's jump into this thing. We start with likes in the first half of the road team, that being the Minnesota Vikings. And it's a crazy, crazy first half. Crazy, crazy first quarter. Let's jump into the first half likes for the Vikings. Andrew Sendejo pick down to the 2-yard line. So he gets his hands on the football. And he gets a nice interception. Overthrow by Carson Wentz. Makes the play. And I got a nit to pick with Andrew Sendejo a little bit later on. But great interception. Sets the offense up. You get an interception. You get it all the way down to the 2-yard line. It's supposed to be setting the offense up for a scoring opportunity for a touchdown. So he did his part. He could have done more. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But bottom line, you get to the 2-yard line, 1st and goal from the 2. Your offense is supposed to do the rest. You did what you were supposed to do. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Fumble recovery by the Vikings D. You get a miss exchange by Carson Wentz and Darren Sproles. Wentz simply never put it in the breadbasket. Ball slips out of his hand as he's going to hand it off. Sproles never gets the handoff. It hits the ground. It's kicked around. And there's a golden opportunity here. We'll talk about this on the dislikes list as well. To scoop and score this one. I mean, there are no Eagles around. There's about 4 Vikings, and the one guy that's on the ground decides he wants to cover it up. I hate when players do this, but again, in the heat of the moment, you don't know who's around. You're just trying to get your hands on the football. But had he allowed one of his teammates to pick it up, they would have walked into the end zone with a convoy, and there would have been a touchdown on the board for the Vikings. But nonetheless, they recover the football. Great field position. You expect them to get some points out of the deal. Xavier Rhodes, interception. A nice diving stab by Xavier Rhodes, the X-Man, making big plays for this Vikings defense. 3 turnovers forced by, or just turnovers gained, I should say, because some of these were really unforced errors on the part of the Eagles. But and nonetheless, 3 turnovers forced in the first half, or in the first quarter, I should say, by this Vikings defense, doing what they've done all season long, which is turn teams over. And normally, the offense does a good job of depositing points on the scoreboard via field goal or touchdown afterwards, but that was not the case. Cordell Patterson, Marcus Sherrills combined on downing a punt, a Jeff Locke punt inside the 1-yard line. A great job by Cordero Patterson to get down there, to throw it back behind his back to Marcus Sherrills, who's waiting at the 1-yard line to put the football down. That was great coverage for a special teams unit that has been outstanding all year and impacting the game. This was another one of those huge plays for the Vikings on special teams. You go to the Eagles in the first half and their likes. McLeod with an interception in the end zone. Give a lot of credit. I want to give half of this credit to Brandon Graham for applying pressure on Sam Bradford. So you sudden change of possession. You give up the interception. 1st and goal from the 2. They try to run it in on first down. And they're not having it. They get a bad penalty to back them up even further. So now instead of 1st and goal or 2nd and goal from the 2, it's 2nd and goal from the 7. They try to throw it in the end zone. Brandon Graham comes with some pressure. Sam Bradford is hit as he's delivering the football. Ball kind of stays in the air. It's picked off by Rodney McLeod. So great job by this Eagles defense standing up, making some plays when their offense put them in a very bad spot. They came up big and picked the offense up. Connor Barwin with a forced fumble of Sam Bradford. The offensive line struggles have been well documented. I talked about this on the show last week, how this offensive line for the Vikings is the one thing that worries me moving forward. I've talked about it on the Louie Tee live program on Wednesdays. I've talked about it in the breakdowns of the Vikings game. I said the one thing that's going to hurt this team moving forward is the injuries up front. The depth is being tested. They had to go out and get Jake Long. He struggled in this game. He was the one who gave up this forced fumble to Connor Barwin. And if not for Jenkins being touched down, this is a touchdown in this ball game. A big play again. After a sudden change of possession, the Eagles defense yet again rising to the occasion, forcing a turnover and making the Eagles' mistake on offense null and void. That's how you pick your offense up after a mistake, by going out and creating mistakes of your own. 99-yard kickoff return by Josh Huff. This coming on the heels of a field goal. Vikings finally getting on the scoreboard, making it 3-0 in this game. The ensuing kickoff, kick to the goal line. Josh Huff, for the second week in a row, Eagles get a huge pick-me-up on special teams. Last week, it was Wendell Smallwood with an 87-yard kickoff return. This week, it's Josh Huff with a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And then the Vikings mess around on the extra point, rough the kicker. Eagles decide, hey, we'll take the penalty, move it up to the 1-yard line. Carson Wentz runs it in, and now it's 8-3. So Eagles taking advantage of Vikings' mistakes. Big return, and the special teams has been huge in this 5-0 start by the Vikings. Well, the special teams just had 2 back-to-back blunders first, allowing the 99-yard kickoff return. You'd love to see Blair Walsh give you better effort than that on the tackle attempt. That was just piss poor. But then again, you never want your kicker to be the last line of defense. If you're counting on the kicker to get you a tackle, you might as well go ahead and start lining up for the extra point. And then to rough the kicker on the extra point and give them an opportunity to get a yard closer for the 2-point conversion. Icing on the cake there. Eagles take advantage. Now it's 8-0 or 8-3 in this ball game. And then Rodney McLeod with a strip of Sam Bradford. So again, this offensive line struggling, and they understood where they could bring pressure from, where the problems were on this offensive line. You've got a number of backups in the game, but Jake Long just getting to Minnesota a week ago. So you know that's where this team's going to struggle to protect. They come with a heavy overload blitz on that left side of the offense, and Rodney McLeod comes in scot-free, untouched, comes around. Sam Bradford never knew he was coming, knocks the football out of his hands, recovered by Bo Allen. More turnovers for the Vikings, more big plays for the Eagles in this game. Field goal before the halftime break. It's huge. You know how I feel about getting points before halftime. It is paramount to take advantage of opportunities. And if you get a chance to score before the half, you have to take advantage of it. And you saw how that came back to backfire on the Arizona Cardinals last night, missing an opportunity to get a field goal that could have potentially gave them an opportunity to win a 6-6 ball game. Here's an opportunity the Eagles don't squander. Getting an opportunity to get a field goal, making some plays, get a nice run from Sproles, and they get a field goal to make it 11-3 at the halftime break. Let's go to the first half dislikes, and man, oh man, there are plenty of these to go around in this game. Andrew Sendejo with a return. And look, on the interception, I'm not going to nitpick, because if you get an interception and you get tackled at the 2-yard line, first and goal from the 2, your offense is supposed to make you right, okay? But bottom line, Andrew Sendejo should have scored on this pick, okay? All he simply has to do is get to the outside, and it's not hard. One simple cutback, and he's in the end zone. He could walk into the end zone. I don't know why he decided to cut it inside and put his shoulder down and think he was just going to barrel his way in, when all he had to do, there was no one out there. There was a wall of Viking defenders waiting to just escort him into the end zone. And for some reason, he decided it was a good idea to put his shoulder down and take on an offensive lineman, and gets tackled at the 2. Now, again, I'm not going to beat him up, because guess what? You give your offense the football first and goal at the 2-yard line, they're supposed to get in. And they didn't. That's not his fault, but he could have and should have scored on that interception. Failing to capitalize off the turnover with an interception. I just talked about that. Sam Bradford getting hit as he's delivering the football. Pressure off his right side from Brandon Graham. Ball flutters into the air, picked off by Rodney McLeod in the end zone. Just a bad set of downs there, because first you start with first down, you don't get anything. Second down, you have the delay of game penalty, which is inexcusable. Delay of game or a false start, one or the other. Either way, you lose 5 yards, making it that much harder for you to score. You get the rollout to Diggs that's incomplete, and then you get the Brandon Graham pressure and subsequent interception by Rodney McLeod. Just bad execution, and I think that was a sign of things to come for this game. It was a little bit of foreshadowing as to what was going to be the day of the Minnesota Vikings against this Eagles football team. Anthony Barr with a recovery of the fumble. Look, I hate to blame him. Again, you hate to blame a defensive player for just going off of instincts. Again, ball's on the ground. You're taught just recover the football. But man, I tell you what, there are 4 Vikings. If any one of them picks this football up, it is a scoop and score. He literally took the ball away from his teammates and just stayed over it like this. Then he realized, hell, I got time to get up. Well, now it's too late. Here comes some Eagle. In the time that it took him to realize he had time to get up, somebody could have been running 15 yards down the field going towards the end zone. I mean, it was that obvious that he could have had someone else pick it up. But again, he wasn't looking. He wasn't aware of his surroundings. All he knew was the ball was on the ground. I got a chance to recover, so I'm going to pick it up. And again, you turn the football over to your offense with great field position. You expect them to get something out of it. And again, the Vikings just simply failed to take advantage of opportunities in this game. Speaking of which, the next dislike, squandering great field position and opportunities in this ball game, especially early in the game, first quarter. I mean, first and goal from the 2, you don't get anything, turn it over. You get the fumble on the missed exchange by Wentz and Sproles, you get nothing out of that. I mean, you just had opportunity after opportunity. Great field position after the X-Man interception. You get nothing out of that. You may have gotten a field goal out of that one. But in any event, there's a lot of opportunities wasted. I don't think you got anything out of that interception either. I think you get a field goal later on in the half. But just a lot of wasted opportunities for a team that was 5-0, playing their best football going into the bye, destroyed the Texans. This looked nothing like the team that started the season 5-0. Too many mistakes on the road against an opponent that was able to take advantage of your mistakes and make you pay for it. Giving up a kickoff return for a touchdown and then the 2-point conversion, talked about it already briefly. But to reiterate, you give up the 99-yard kickoff return after getting your field goal, and then to turn around and rough the kicker, give up a little bit more field position there, and they go for it on the 2-point conversion and get it to make it an 8-0 game. Special teams has been an ally for you. It was an enemy in this game. You had to pay giving up the touchdown and then roughing the kicker on the extra point, giving up an extra point there. So special teams not helping you like it has been for the first 5 games of the season. Bradford stripped again, his second fumble of the game. This time, Rodney McLeod comes off the edge. And like I said, overload blitz on the right side of this Vikings, or on the right side of the Eagles defense, left side of the Vikings offense, where Jake Long was, and he needed help all day long. He's a new guy, veteran that is way past his prime, and you saw that in this game. He was beat one-on-one by Connor Barwin for the first fumble of the game, beat on an overload blitz by Rodney McLeod there on the second fumble. And so this Vikings team just looked sloppy offensively in the first half, and it didn't get much better in the second either. Leads to a field goal before the half, so that fumble proved to be huge because it turned into Eagles points going into the halftime break at 11-3. You go to the Philadelphia Eagles and their first half dislikes. They got plenty, just like the Vikings do. Like I said, house of horrors in the first quarter for both teams. First possession, there's a drop by DGB. Open, got to catch the football, doesn't, got to kick the football and punt it away. Here's an opportunity for you to get a little bit of momentum against one of the most stingiest defenses in the league. You're open on third down, got to have that catch. He didn't catch it, so it was a punt. The following possession, Wentz throws an ill-advised interception. Air mails it over his target. Don't really know what the problem was there. There wasn't immediate pressure in his face. No reason to throw that football as high as he did, but he did. Picked off by Sendejo, luckily enough for Wentz and the Eagles offense. The defense picked them up by generating a turnover. Fumble exchange by Wentz and Sproles turns into the second Eagles turnover of the first quarter. After the defense has made some plays for you, you get the football in some great field position, actually. And here you are making another mistake. Wentz simply doesn't have a good grasp of the football as he's trying to hand it off. Slips out of his hand. Sproles never really gets a handle on the ball. Falls down, tries to recover it. It gets kicked around, and the Vikings recover the football. So another missed opportunity by this Eagles offense and another mistake by this Eagles offense. Wentz with his second interception of the game, trying to fit it into a receiver down the field. Great diving interception by Xavier Rhodes, the X-Man, coming up big with a play there. But again, Wentz making some mistakes, something that he didn't do the first 3 weeks of the season. In the next 3 games, he's made mistakes, and that have cost this Eagles team. But again, defense picking him up. These mistakes didn't prove to be as costly in this football game. He's starting to look like a rookie. His numbers were really preschoolish in this game. Looked like a little kid. These are some real kiddie pedestrian numbers. He's starting to come back down to earth. But again, he showed some poise. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And again, his mistakes didn't hurt the team because the defense was able to make some plays. Squandering of great field position. Same thing that I said about the Vikings applies to this Eagles football team. They had countless opportunities to do some good things in this game with some turnovers that were forced by the defense, and they simply failed to do it. They refused to do it by turning the football back over themselves. So a lot of mistakes by both teams. Eagles no different than the Vikings, especially in that first quarter. And missing Aguilar on a deep ball for a touchdown. Now, this could have been a little bit of both. I think Aguilar may have slowed down on this route, but Wentz overshot him by at least 5 yards. You can't miss Aguilar here. This is I talk about the separation of quarterbacks in this league. The upper echelon from the good from the mediocre from the bad. One of those criteria is simply hitting the deep ball. You don't get an opportunity in this league to hit deep balls very often. When they come, when guys are open, you must hit them down the field. This is a walk-in touchdown, and we've seen Wentz be accurate with the football down the field. So I'd like to think that this was a little bit of a miscommunication between he and Aguilar slowing down. But again, something has to be done there because Aguilar had at least 3 steps on the nearest Vikings defender. This is a touchdown. You got to hit him here. He missed him and overshot him by a ton on this particular throw. You go to the second half, and we get to the lights now. We go back to the Vikings, and there were no lights in the second half. This Vikings football team was horrid in the second half. Give credit to the Eagles. The defense stifled Sam Bradford, made things uncomfortable, didn't allow them to have any semblance of a running game, really made things tough for them offensively. And defensively, the Eagles did enough on that offensive side of the football to not allow, and they stopped the turnovers. That was first and foremost. Can't keep turning it over or else it's going to come back to haunt you. They did nothing in the second half of this game, did the Vikings, to try to win this game. I think the Eagles did a really good job of limiting opportunities on the offensive side and then really giving it to them on the defensive side. So I think the Vikings really squandered every opportunity they had in the first half, and there weren't many to come in the second half of this ball game. Eagles, second half likes Wentz's poise. There were a number of bobbled snaps, bad snaps, ball hitting the turf, 3 of them to be exact, and he picked 2 of them up, one on a 4th and 2 that he picks up and runs for the first down. That's the poise that I've been talking about all year with this young fella, is him not panicking when things go wrong. There's another bobbled snap where he has to pick it up, and he runs, creates, buys time, and finds Darren Sproles, a la the Pittsburgh Steelers game. This one didn't go for 70 yards and a touchdown, but it was equally as impressive as he was able to find Sproles and pick up a first down. That's the poise that I talk about when I talk about Carson Wentz performing like a veteran. Again, the numbers looked real preschoolish in this game, and he's still a young guy. You got to remember that. But the poise that he exudes a lot of times in the pocket is that of an 8-year veteran. He showed it with those snaps hitting the ground and him making plays. DGB getting into the end zone. I think it's safe to say that the Eagles won that trade. It feels like robbery, honestly, giving away Dennis Kelly, who stunk it up in the Tennessee Titans loss to the Indianapolis Colts, who is just a journeyman backup offensive lineman, and you get a starting caliber wide receiver with some height and some strength and the ability to go and get the football. He scores a touchdown, and I think the Eagles were really shrewd in getting their hands on a guy that can come in and help them moving forward. Pressure on Bradford. I thought the second half and a lot of the first half, even with all the turnovers that Bradford had, he was never comfortable in the pocket. And their offensive line stinks, and you needed to take advantage of them, and you did. I thought he was never comfortable in this game for first or second half, and a lot of that credit needs to be given to the Eagles front, and even give some credit to Jim Schwartz, the Eagles defensive coordinator, for coming with some blitzes and even dialing up the pressure to make sure that Bradford never was comfortable in this game. The blitz that produced the second fumble of the game in the first half just kept Bradford on his toes, switching up looks and giving him different things to think about. He was never comfortable in this game. Eagles harassed him all game long, and it was consistent throughout. Bradford never really got anything going. Neither did that Vikings offense, for that matter. 4th and 1 stop in the red zone. This, to me, was the final nail in the coffin. If they were going to get anything going down by 15, 3-18 at that point in the game, you need to find a way to get something going. And if you're going to go for it on 4th and 1, and I didn't have a problem with it because a field goal really doesn't do you any good. Cutting the deficit to 18-6 isn't going to help you when you still need 2 touchdowns. So I understood the logic going for it on 4th and 1. You need to find a way to pick it up. And the Eagles defense rose to the occasion, not only on 4th and 1, but they stopped them on 3rd and 1 as well. They tried a fullback dive. Eagles would have none of it. And then on 4th down, they tried to give it to Matt Asiata. He was stopped as well. Eagles defense rising to the occasion yet again in this football game, getting it done in a big-time spot. I thought that was the final stand for this Vikings offense. That was the last thing they had in the tank. When they didn't pick that up, they were done in this football game. You go to the dislikes in the second half. We go back to the Vikings. The offensive line is the first dislike on my list. They were horrible in this game, and that's going to be the big issue moving forward. That's going to be the underlying issue with this team. If they struggle in this season, it's going to be up front along that offensive line. They talked about the absence of Adrian Peterson. He was struggling before he got injured. You know why? Because the offensive line wasn't very good. And that was a healthy offensive line. Now they've incurred injuries. This offensive line is worse for the wear. And so when he comes back, I don't know if he's going to have any rushing space because they're even worse up front. Now Sam Bradford, who was taking shots before the injuries, is taking even more shots now. And he got abused in this game. Can he stand up for 16 games is the question behind that porous offensive line. We will see. But that offensive line was bad. They couldn't even pick up a yard in 3rd and 1. Couldn't pick up a yard in 4th and 1. They struggled in this game. They're going to struggle moving forward. And when they come up against fronts like this Eagles front that's aggressive, that can get into the backfield and make plays, they're going to struggle with this offensive line the way that it's assembled right now. You move on to the next dislike. failed 4th and 1. You failed on 3rd and 1. You failed on 4th and 1. That was the last stand, like I said earlier in this game for the offense. If you could have gotten something there, maybe this is a ball game, but you didn't, and that was all you had left on an afternoon where you were just savagely abused by that Eagles defense. And Marcus Sherrills, to me, this was the icing on the cake, the fumble by Marcus Sherrills. Like I said, special teams has been your friend all season long. Sherrills making huge play after huge play. Cordell Patterson with the down punt earlier in this game. The special teams has been outstanding for you this season. Well, it was your enemy in this game. You had the touchdown given up, the roughing the kicker that turned into a 2-point conversion. Marcus Sherrills fumbling the football away. Special teams. Again, and this team, the way they're constructed, they need to win 2 out of the 3 phases of the game. Well, in the 5-0 start, they were winning all 3, offense, defense, and special teams. But you can count on this team most Sundays winning defense and special teams. Well, on this day, the defense didn't get the job done, or they did, but they didn't get enough help. They could have done more, in my mind, but the offense didn't get the job done in the special teams, which is what you normally count on in Minnesota to get the job done, failed you in this game as well. The Eagles' second half dislikes is only one for me, the bobbled snaps. 3 of them in this game, 2 coming in the second half. Got to be better there. Wentz having to improvise and make plays. And like I said, the poise that he showed in those situations where the ball hit the ground and everything that you thought was going to happen on that play is now done, and you've got to make something happen on the fly. Plan A, plan B out the window. Time for you to tap into plan C. And he did both times. The first on 4th and 2, running for a first down. The second time being able to scramble outside the pocket, buy some time, and then find Darren Sproles. But can't have these bobbled snaps. If the Vikings had gotten through, maybe that ball gets kicked around, and next thing you know, it's a recovery for the Vikings. Just need to be cleaner there. Got to be better in that instance. Let's get to the banana in the tailpipe. Have one for both teams in this game. For the Vikings, don't expect them to turn it over and be this sloppy. Their head coach, Mike Zimmer, is a stickler for taking care of the football. They didn't do that in this game. This is not who they've been all season long. This is not who they're going to be moving forward. I will tell you this, the offensive line is going to struggle, but I don't know if they're going to allow the offensive line to struggle as much as they did in this game. Expect tight ends to stay in and chip. Expect backs to not go out in the route as much, stay in and help the offensive line. They're going to be better in terms of protecting Sam Bradford, and they're not going to turn it over as much as they did. They were so sloppy in this game. Offensively, Marcus Sherrills just basically giving the football away. They did a lot of things that were uncharacteristic of this team in the first 5 weeks of the season. Don't expect them. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe of this being who the Vikings are. They're a better team than what they showed in this game, and I expect them to show that moving forward. For the Eagles, it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde for this Eagles team this season. At home, they've been lights out. All of their wins coming at home, aside from the road win versus the Chicago Bears, a lifeless Bears team at that. But this is a team that we've seen them beat some of the upper echelon teams in the league at home. Can they take this act on the road against better opponents? They haven't been able to do it 2 weeks previous against the Redskins and the Lions. Can they take this kind of performance and take it on the road and play against better teams and get the job done? We're going to find out next week against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Big showdown in the division for first place in the division. Do the Eagles have what it takes to take this kind of act on the road? I'm not sure. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that they can't, because I've seen this defense play well enough. I've seen Wentz play well enough. They can do this on the road. I think they can. We'll see if they will next week versus the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Should be one hell of a football game. Let's get to some of your comments and see if there is anything on Twitter first. If not, we'll jump right into the discussions. See some comments there right away. The Philly Knight at Eagle Speed 4311 says, Vikings allowed a 55 completion to QBs this season, so I thought Wentz would struggle. Vikings D is legit. I think we're fine. Yeah, the Vikings defense is legit, but some of those were unforced errors by Carson Wentz. It's one thing like when Sam Bradford threw his interception, Brandon Graham is hitting him as he's throwing it. That's when you can blame the defense. The first pick, no excuse for that. Overshot his receiver by 2 yards, straight to the safety, Andrew Sendejo. The second interception, you're forcing it into double coverage. If he didn't get it, the safety was right behind him. So I don't put that on the Vikings defense. I put that on Carson Wentz just being overzealous, making some mistakes. We've seen him play well, so I think he'll be fine as well. But those were unforced errors by Carson Wentz in this football game. Also, at Eagles Speed 4311 says, also, I think another like for Philly is what we allowed 0 sacks to that defense. And Big V blocked serviceable with a decent, and I guess he's got another part coming. But yeah, and they also did some things to help Big V out again, because you know they weren't going to leave him on an island after he was abused last week by the Redskins. So you knew they were going to shore some things up. And that's why I feel like it's going to happen with the Vikings moving forward. This is the first game. You don't know what's going to happen. So you leave a guy out there to see how he does. And once you realize he can't handle it, you give him some help. And then he's going to win his fair share of one-on-one matchups. But also you're going to give him help. You're going to chip with the back. You're going to chip with the tight end. Make sure that he's straight before you get out of there if you're going to have guys go into the route. So Eagles offensive line much better. It also helps when you've got a quarterback that can elude the rush, get outside the pocket, and make things happen in Carson Wentz. That is not afforded to the Vikings. They don't have a mobile quarterback, so they have to do a much better job of protecting Sam Bradford. So let's get to some of your comments here. Archangel says, anytime a team that used to be hot lost 2 straight and come home to a dangerous team, especially against an undefeated team, I don't know what that comment is supposed to mean. I guess he was trying to say that the Eagles were a dangerous team, losing 2 straight and coming home, and the Vikings coming off a bye were vulnerable, I guess is what he was trying to say. Eagle Speed is a nerd says, I picked the Vikings to win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles won since it was a trap game. And I had mentioned this all week last week that I thought the Eagles in this spot had a legit shot at winning, and that they did. Renee Ballard, my girl Reby, says, feel a little better now. Interesting second half of the season for the NFC East. Indeed. It's going to heat up, man. I think it's the best division in all of football right now, and it's proven to be that way. Giants get it done. It wasn't pretty, but they're at 4-3. Redskins with their loss at 4-3. Eagles now at 4-2. And like I said, huge NFC East matchup on Sunday Night Football. Eagles and Cowboys. Winner of that game will be in first place after that game. So huge matchup there. Can't wait to see how that turns out. Eagle Speed is a nerd says, how pissed would you be if Redskins trade? Okay, no, we're not doing that right now. Eagle Speed is a nerd says, you think if Vikings had Teddy B. Water and AP, they would have won? Nah, I don't know if that changes this dynamic. The offensive line is bad. And let the record reflect that the offensive line now, Teddy B offers you something that Sam Bradford doesn't, and that's mobility, the ability to escape the pocket when pressure is coming. But that Eagles defense was ferocious, and they had no answer for what they were doing up front because the offensive line simply struggled in this game. So, you know what? It is what it is. Simply put, the Eagles got it done. The Vikings didn't. Too many mistakes. It is what it is. So, they'll bounce back. I expect the Vikings to bounce back. Simple as that. They are better than what they showed in this game. Eagles got it done, though. Give some credit to them. They played a hell of a football game. They get it done 21-10. Go to 4-2 on the season. Take sole possession of second place in the NFC with a chance to go to first next week versus Dallas in Big D on Sunday Night Football. Meanwhile, you've got the Vikings suffering their first loss of the season. They're now 5-1 on the season. Still in first place in the NFC North, but they're going to have to play much better than they did in this game if they want to stay there. It's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. Continue to join me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I'll see you guys a little bit later on. Got some more breakdowns coming at you next with Tampa Bay at San Francisco. I'll see you on the other side. Have a good one.